Gears of War Reloaded is finally out. We have another remaster of Gears of War, which is not the reason that I decided to do this video. Like, partially I did, but I mainly wanted a reason to jump back in and talk about one of my favorite video game experiences of all time, and also a nostalgic piece to that as well, because Gears of War is like everything. I have like 5 franchises that I absolutely love in the gaming sphere. One of those is Mass Effect. Another one of those is The Last of Us. Another one is Fallout. Then you have Kingdom Hearts. But man, the cream of the crop, the thing that I will drop so much for and will always tell people to jump and try is Gears of War. I mean, look at that. Look at this. I have like every copy known to man. You got Judgment. You got the original Gears of War. Look at that. I bought that from Game Crazy for $8.99. Then you got Gears of War 2. Gears of War 3 Special Edition, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Gears of War 5, and Gears of War 5 because I needed the Steelbook, and I don't remember. I think I got this one for like $3, but I'm a huge Gears of War fan. You can see in the background, I have a Retro Lancer, which I have a funny story for that, and maybe I'll share it in this video, maybe I'll share it another day. And then, of course, we have an actual Gears of War chainsaw normal Lancer. Oh man, I am a massive fan. I love Gears of War. Those videos definitely biased towards the franchise, but I wanted a reason to come on here and talk about it because I have Gears of War Reloaded currently on Steam, thanks to Xbox who sent me over the code for that. But before they even sent it, I already played through the beta on the PlayStation, which totally weird playing Gears of War on a DualSense. I never thought I'd be playing that. And I had already bought it for Gears of War, or for at least PlayStation as well, because I wanted to experience it there. And I also wanted to experience Gears of War with my wife, who knows how much I love this franchise, but has never actually, like, tried it. And over the last, like, I'd say year, she's been getting a little bit more into gaming. That's, like, more shoot-em-ups and not cozy type of things, or Donkey Kong or Mario. And it's been cool to see that. And that's, like, the biggest, like, thing for me is that first off was to buy Gears of War Reloaded. First off, try on a PlayStation. But second off is to play with friends who have never owned an Xbox and never got to play Gears of War. And same thing with my wife is to replay the Gears of War franchise in co-op on campaign. Now, while I know a lot of people were disappointed that they didn't announce 2 and 3 off the bat, I assume they have remasters for these. I would actually be very shocked if we're not getting the entire trilogy. But I think this is a good place to start and especially gauge people's interest. And especially because it's like, what, $40, $40, $50, which is typically cheaper than many other video games nowadays, because video games are expensive. And you get a good package. So like to get the technical things out of the way, let's just say this. Gears of War Reloaded is a grand, awesome, perfect remaster. It's runs smooth. It's amazing. I've played it on Steam. I've played it on PlayStation. I've had 0 issues with either one. I love playing it. It's all cross-play compatible. It's cross-save compatible. Like, I love all that. And it looks amazing. It looks amazing. Like, going back through the campaign, the graphics are just amped up on that Unreal Engine, and it looks stellar. If you wanted me to get a little nitpicky, I would say that, like, the grime and the darkness of the original one isn't really there. But that's more to like modern graphics than anything else. I just wish they would have maybe gone for a little bit more of an artistic style on that part. But that's just me like nitpicking. That's what I've been using Gears of War Reloaded to. And as well as to introduce the franchise to my wife, who knows again how much I love this franchise. So I'm very excited to talk about Gears of War Reloaded today. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below. And remember, hi, my name is Zach. This is my gaming channel. You probably have seen me over on my YouTube channel talking about movies and TV. But now we're talking about video games as well over on the Hot Mic Gaming channel. There will be a podcast eventually on here as well. We have some awesome plans for this, me and my co-host, but this is a place for me to really get passionate and really much have these video essay, video discussions that let me ramble off and talk about video games, because that's something I'm very passionate about. And it's like the one hobby I have outside of movies and TV that I just like to jump in and enjoy. And I don't care what we get to talk about, but with Gears of War Reloaded coming out and it already being out, and it being relevant, it felt like the perfect time to just express some of my love and share some fun stories with why I love Gears of War so much. So with that said, I think the best way to kind of start this whole entire discussion is to share my background with Gears of War, and especially the first game. I'm not going to dive into 2 and 3 because I have little bits of stories for that, and I might just save those for like those specific videos. So that Retro Lancer video, how I got that, we'll save that for another day. Maybe if you want me to continue doing retrospects on 2 and 3, I'll jump right in and do those next instead of waiting for the remakes. But honestly, Gears of War for me is one thing that really just worked for me. I remember going to my cousin's house, and I didn't have an Xbox at the time. I had a GameCube and a PlayStation 2. But my cousin had the original Xbox and the Xbox 360. That's how I was introduced to Halo and, of course, Gears of War. And Halo was always fun. We'd always play it, but Gears of War always felt like the game that I wasn't allowed to touch. And anytime I would go and sit down and watch him play it, it was always fascinating to see. He'd have these big meaty guys jumping into third person and going behind cover, which was so different to me because any third person game I'd seen from that point of view was just like Grand Theft Auto basically to me. Or like Bug's Life or Toy Story, but there was no cover system to those. In this, and to really much retrospect it, Gears of War changed cover-based shooters forever. This was something that was so unlike the time and so different that so many games now influentially go and look at Gears of War. And in fact, anytime I do play a third-person cover-based shooter or something of that nature, and it doesn't have the snappy feel of a Gears of War, I instantly feel disappointed. I like that some games try to change it up and be a little bit different, but Gears of War is still the peak of that. That's why, going off on a tangent, Army of Two, EA, please make more of those. I hate how short those games are, but I love the shooting mechanics for it. And I think Gears of War kind of has that same capability of how much it's very much influenced through years and decades, and it's going to be for generations to come. That franchise, the gameplay in there was game-changing at the time, and I think it still showcases that today with how smooth it is and how awesome it is and how responsive it feels. It feels satisfying to rip out the chainsaw, rev it, and cut up someone right around the corner, then jump back into cover, pull out your Gnasher, do an active reload as you're trying to shoot across the side, reload that gun, blast around, boom, and one hit someone with a Gnasher. It also sucks when you get one hit with the Gnasher, but it's satisfying, and it keeps making you want to get better. That's something for me, is I always wanted to get better at Gears of War, but my cousin, I'm watching him play Gears of War, and I'm like, this looks awesome. What is this? And I begged him to let me play. And he said, if you get up early before I get up tomorrow, you can play. Just please don't play the online. I was like, totally fine. I'll jump in. I woke up at the crack of dawn before I knew he was going to wake up so I could at least get an hour in. Snuck in, played the Xbox 360, turned it on, which I did not have. So I was just going off muscle memory of seeing what he's done. And I jumped into Gears of War's campaign. And it was creepy. It was action-packed. It was awesome. I sucked at it, but I loved it. And I remember instantly on the way home, I told my dad, I want to get rid of all my GameCube games, which in retrospect was a terrible decision because I've had to rebuy some of my favorites from there, and it was very expensive. And I'm still missing so many games from that era that I wish I would own. But I traded them all in the GameStop. All I wanted was an Xbox 360, Xbox Live, and Gears of War. And that's what happened there, which is funny because I had to go to Game Crazy because GameStop didn't have Gears of War then, but I got it all. And it took my GameCube and everything of that nature to get it. And I loved it. I was so obsessed with Gears of War. And then I remember, maybe a couple months later, it was going to be my birthday and Gears of War 2 was coming out. So it was, perfect timing. And I jumped right on Gears of War 2 and fell in love with it. Gears of War 3, I begged my parents to let me stay home from high school one of those days. They let me, and I just jumped right into that as well and loved it. And ever since then, I've loved this franchise. I have always been obsessed with the chainsaw weapon, and I loved it in San Andreas, chainsawing people, and it just cross-examined. I don't know. I was such a kid, and I still am today at heart, and I absolutely love Gears of War for what that is. That memory is so core to me that anytime I still pick up Gears of War, it's still such a blast. And as mentioned, Gears of War Reloaded still has the action-packed set pieces. It still has the horrific moments, and it still has that awesome gunplay. But it really has the characters that you really do start to fall in love with. And the first game's very simple on them and simple in terms of the dramatic avenues to them. And it really is the later films that actually or the later games that actually dive into that give a little bit more added meat and detail to their story. But the first one's so core into what it is and such a core essence of action horror. The first time you run into General Rom, that is one of the best moments ever. And the boss battle between General Rom and Dom and Marcus is also a phenomenal action set piece. This franchise just kind of evened out like horror and action to such a degree that I've always wished that Gears of War would kind of go back to that horror avenue. And that's what I'm really hoping will happen with E-Day, which, oof, cannot wait for E-Day. I think that's going to be such an awesome game. We'll probably have to do a video on that once we get more details on that game, but bar none, I think it's awesome. And it's also great to see it on PlayStation. Like, I can't believe Xbox is opening up the floodgates, but they are. And playing on a DualSense feels weird. I still think I prefer an Xbox controller personally, but it feels nice and it feels good on there. Everything feels responsive. Like, in terms of the technical stuff, I don't really have like much to say because it's just, it works. It works. I don't have anything problems with that. It's more of the nostalgic feeling that Gears of War Reloaded has brought to me. And I love that now I can jump back in and again, showcase this to my wife, who again, we have Xbox. I could show this, but like, it's a more newer game. I can make the excuse to showcase it to her and she'll jump right back into that. And she has been, and it's been cool. I don't think I'll ever be able to convince her to play the multiplayer, which I was rusty at first, but after like an hour or two, I was getting my movement back down, jumping from cover to cover, and it's so satisfying. Talking about it in this video, I haven't been able to play the game for the entire week, and I want to jump back in and play it right now. So with that said, Gears of War Reloaded is awesome. And if you're a fan of Gears of War or you're a fan of video games, you should definitely hit like and subscribe on this channel. I'm going to be definitely doing more of these video essays and video discussions, probably every other week, maybe eventually every week. But I still am talking movies and TV over on the Zach Pope Reviews channel. I love Gears of War. I love this remaster. So with all that said, I'm going to give Reloaded a 5 out of 5. I love it. And I can't wait. I really pray that they remaster 2 and 3 because 2 and 3 are like evened up for me on which one's the best. So much again, guys, for watching this. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please share your Gears of War memories down below. I know this was like a very rambled video, but that's kind of why I'm doing it over here, so I can just ramble on about one of my favorite franchises of all time, and especially one of my favorite games of all time. So guys, until next time, stay classy.